What was the moment that your game of truth or dare got way out of control?
Late to the party, but goddamn, this is my absolutely favourite story to tell. It was around 1998 or so. My buddy had gotten kicked out of his house and had emotional issues stemming from living with narcissists, Tourette's syndrome, and being an introvert. He was also having girl trouble, as he was the sort of guy who would fall hard in love with any girl who gave him the time of day, let alone showed any interest in him. Anywho, my family took him in and let him crash there for a few weeks while his folks came to their senses. He's laying on the floor of my room, and I know he wants to talk about his issues. But he's the sort of person that wants the cover of it, being a game, in case he says something that someone is put off by. So, in order to let him get something off his chest, I asked him truth or dare, and it starts probably 3 or so hours of him talking about his shit. Now, I've got to work in the morning, and by this time he's just rehashing shit he's already said. So in an effort to attempt to get some sleep, I tell him, either you pick dare, or I roll over and ignore your ass. Still to this day, I don't know why he did it, but he picked dare. I had just gotten over being sick with bad bronchitis. Sitting on my nightstand is a jar of Vicks Vapo Rub. Trying to think of something that would end this without blatantly telling him, I dare you to STFU so I can sleep, I spy the bottle on my little nightstand and I backhand swat it to him. I dare you to rub this on your scrotum. He looks at it, unscrews the cap and sniffs the bottle. Dunno if it was to verify it was genuine Vicks or if he'd never used it before, but he did. Then he asked me how much to use. 2 fingers in the jar, run them around the inside. He does so and comes up with an amount equivalent to a golf ball. I see his hand disappear down into the sleeping bag and see motions that are indicative of someone playing with their balls. He pulls his hand out, sniffs it again, and asks, "What's that supposed to do?" His eyes go wide, he clutches his junk and curls into the fetal position. I'm burying my face in my pillow because I'm laughing so hard I can't breathe. I don't want to wake up my parents across the hall, so I'm muffling as much laughter as I can while my friend lies in agony. Finally, I get enough air in my lungs to tell him to go wash it off. My friend proceeds to stand up in the sleeping bag and bunny hop down the hall to the bathroom. I hear the sounds of the faucet being turned on full blast, followed by a very relieved "Ah!" come from the bathroom. About 5 minutes go by and my buddy comes back into my room, sleeping bag over his shoulder and hand around his crotch. He's taking baby steps as he comes back to the spot on the floor he was at before, lays down and mumbles softly, "It didn't help." Many years later, I force him to revisit this particularly shameful incident when I make him a Vicks cake for his 30th birthday. We're still friends. He's like a brother to me. This is us dancing together at his wedding back in '09.
In my first or second year of university, my group of friends and I were having a get-together after finals ended. Considering finals had just ended, and it was only about 7 of us, consuming alcohol seemed like the go-to activity. So once the buzz started to hit us, one of my friends tried to start a game of spin the bottle. But being a group of 3 couples and 1 single guy, we decided to play truth or dare instead. Like all truth or dare games, it started out pretty innocently. Take more shots. Who's your celebrity crush? ECT. But eventually, things turned a bit weird. Our 1 single guy decided to dare one of the girls to lick whipped cream off of his schlong, and with a reluctant nod from her boyfriend, she got to action. Or, ... At least tried to. Once she took off the dude's pants and saw his, well, hung appendage, she yells, "Damn, I've never seen one this big." And before she could even uncap the whipped cream, her boyfriend was swinging full force at the guy. Me and my other friend had to get in between a half-naked guy and a drunk ape, and by the time we split them up, everyone was uncomfortable as hell. After we resolved it, and me and my girlfriend started leaving, I just remember her leaning up to my ear and telling me she knew her boyfriend was self-conscious about his dick.
When I was 12, I was on the porch playing Truth or Dare at night. We were told to stay on the porch, so a dare came to run across the road to the street light and back. So all three of us girls did it. I was wearing a plain t-shirt and a ball cap, hiding my hair in typical tomboy fashion. As we hit the light post and began to run back to the porch, a car comes screeching round the corner to stop in the middle of the intersection. Man jumps out with a crowbar. We freaking run for the house, and he gives chase. I was last in the small herd, and I have been told just as the crowbar is about to come down on me, I screamed, and he stopped. The man yells, "Were you throwing rocks at my fucking car?" "No," I cried as it's now full-on fear tears. But I'm still running. He pivots around and leaves, just as quickly as he showed up in his newish Camaro. I assume he realized I was not, in fact, a boy. We're panicked. Freaking out, this psycho almost killed me. Once the sound of his engine fades, across the street, two boys come out of the dark between two houses. About our age, one in a ball cap, asking if we're okay. Yes, they were the throwers of the rocks, and hightailed it home after confirming I had not been bludgeoned to death for their childish vandalism. No idea what happened to the man, and our parents never called the cops. If memory serves, I'm not sure they believed us, and we're pissed we left the porch. I'm 34 now, and remember that run like it was yesterday.
Me, a cousin, and a couple of buddies were at a youth conference in another town. After the conference was over, we got to chatting with a group of girls from the town. We decided to hang out back at our hotel room. We were all just chatting and listening to tunes when all of a sudden, all four girls went to the bathroom together, leaving us sitting there like chumps. When they came out, they were all grinning, but we thought nothing of it. A few minutes later, one of them proposed a game of Truth or Dare, but they insisted the girls would be the ones to make all the dares. We agreed, hoping for at least some scraps of action. Long story short, every single one of us wound up getting laid. One of the guys even did it on the floor, and the other couple fucked in the bathroom. Turns out the girls had planned it all along. They decided in advance which of them wanted each of us, got their story straight, and then proposed the game. They'd even brought their own condoms. The only drawback was, God, did it stink like fuck in that room when my uncle came strolling in to wake us up the next morning.
When I was 17, I was studying with a girl who started a game of Truth or Dare with me. I hadn't kissed since 4th grade, and we were clearly into each other. The game started with me as the asker. She chose Dare. Me, being the naive, socially awkward individual that I am, dared her to touch the bottom of my family's shared toilet, which was actually really clean. She resisted, but eventually did it. When my turn came around, I chose Dare. It was only fair to do so after what I just put her through. She dared me to finger her. At the moment, I was ecstatic. As we made our way to the sauna adjoining the bathroom, a rush of terror came over me. I had no idea how to do what I was about to do. I'd basically never kissed. And now I was about to finger this chick. Anyways, we get into the sauna and it's pitch black. I feel around and find her pelvic region. As I work my way down, I try to recollect the very few pornos I'd seen to that point. I start feeling around and wiggling my fingers side to side. She jerked her whole body back and exclaimed, "Too low!" I quickly realized that I had fingered the wrong hole and slid it, the same finger, up to her vag. After about 10 seconds, she said I was doing it too hard, and about 20 seconds later, she stopped me completely. Needless to say, it was a short-lived study session.
I was 14 or 15, I do not remember. Someone dared a much older girl to make out with me in a closet for 5 minutes. She was very pretty, way out of my league and I think 18 or 19. But she took the dare. We get in the closet in the basement that was very small and very hot. Smelled like old mothballs and old clothes. She smelled like cigarettes, nice shampoo, and bubble gum. She gave me a super soft little kiss on the cheek, and then, in very limited space, gave me my first and most memorable blowjob ever. I did not know how to react since this was before the internet. I honestly had no idea people did this. I remember being very excited when anyone after that said we should play Truth or Dare.
At my first job back when I was a teenager, about 6 of us were playing this mid-shift. 3 girls, 3 guys. It was barely starting to get risque, and one of the guys is asked, "Have you ever masturbated to thoughts of a co-worker?" And he says yes. This is as juicy as it's gotten, so we latch onto it. The next time around, he's asked if he's masturbated to anyone else playing. He says yes. Next round, he's asked to name which of us he's jerked it to. He looks at us one by one, then says, "All of you?" The guys all got flustered as hell. They'd never even realized they were on the roster.
The game was escalating too fast anyway. This wasn't even the worst thing that happened that night, but gay friend accepted a dare to put his erect penis in a female friend. Boyfriend got him hard, and while everyone, including the victims, laughed, he mounted friend and started pumping away. OMG, this actually feels great. He managed to get out before looking really ecstatic. She was enjoying herself as well. It got awkwardly sexy. They were just plain fucking. It didn't last long. He came. OMG, I just came. Ha ha ha. OMG, if I get pregnant, I'm gonna kill you. Ha 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 ha. The game went on. More awkwardness was had. Nothing topped the awkwardness of her calling him a week later, in tears, because she was indeed pregnant. She did not murder him in the end. The kid just turned 18, FYI.